turn around. Turning point, yeah. He's a turnaround.
Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. My name is Albert Okran. Welcome you to Ghana's foremost developmental program and that place where the greatest minds in the world converge. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana and the Enterprise Group with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. This program is also in partnership with Ghana Growth Program, a collaboration between MasterCard Foundation, Springboard Roadshow Foundation, and over 100 other collaborators. So today, we have a special edition of your virtual university coming to you from the comfort of MTN House as we interact with one of our longest standing partners for the whole Springboard initiative, MTN Ghana. And why is this so? Because over the past month, we've had conversations about sustainability in various forms, in farming, in business, and try to tease out some of the issues. But today, it's all about World Sustainability Day. Why is it important? What should you know about this growing phenomenon? Is it new or it's been there for a while? Is it possible that at your next job, a question on sustainability could trap you and create a problem for you, even though you are applying for a job as a doctor, a lawyer, a pastor, or something that you think has no relationship with sustainability? My guest for today is very well versed in the subject and ready to give you some answers to the very critical questions on your mind. She holds the role as Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer here at MTN Ghana. Adwoa Wiafe is our guest for today. Adwoa, good to see you.
Same here, Albert.
I hope that was a sustainable introduction to the program. What exactly is sustainability and why is this such a big conversation today?
Well, I'll start maybe off with the definition of sustainability that we've been using for a while. It talks about using resources in ways that meet our current needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And when we're talking about sustainability, we are looking at it from three different aspects. You are looking at the environmental, you are looking at social, and you are also looking at economic viability. And what do we mean by environmental? You are looking at, conservation of resources, you're looking at reduction in carbon emissions and waste. And you want to ensure from the social side, social equity. And you want to also promote economic development and economic stability. So sustainability, I think just simply put, is ensuring that we are using our resources wisely in a way that ensures the well-being of the future, that we are not wasting the resources today and denying future generations of the opportunity to rely on those same resources, because somebody also left the resources to us. If somebody else before us had depleted these resources, what would we be doing? And the resources are the basis of our existence. When you look at production, really the base is the resources that we have. Everything that we do goes back to what we have in nature, in our environment. And so it's important for us to be able to preserve that, to be able to keep or ensure our livelihoods and our survival. Our survival depends on our ability to keep our environment. I was reading about this, and there's a proverb, and it says that it is after we've cut down the last tree, eaten the last fish, that we realize that we cannot eat money.
Right.
So if we do not take care of our environment and we abuse it or misuse it, we will end up having the prosperity that we have, but not being able to sustain it. And that prosperity alone cannot keep us and cannot, maintain our way of life. So it is really important that we look at it.
Interestingly, from where I sit in my main vocation as a pastor, I was trying to figure out, is sustainability a new thing? But Genesis 2:15, the very first command that God gave to man was to put man in the garden and say, take care of it, work in it, but also tend it, take care. So that was one of the very first instructions that God gave to man as relates to work. So it would seem that right from the beginning, it's a part of our lives. And so, but it would seem that of late, it's come a bit more to the forefront than it used to be. Will that be a result of probably having progressed without considering the impact of our activities on the future?
Yes, I do take that point and understand why it would have been a concern even then, because this is a gift. The natural resources are gifts, and whatever is given to you, you take care of it. And I also was reading about this and came or stumbled upon something that said that sustainability was around even before the Industrial Revolution. And even throughout the Industrial Revolution, it was something that was being discussed, because at that time was the time when machines were being introduced, and obviously people were concerned about the way in which the environment was being dealt with, the resources were being extracted. So throughout that period, it has been an issue. If you talk about, the discovery of fossil fuels and all that, it has always been an issue that people have talked about, but not, as you say, on the same scale, because now with technology, with further development, modernization, and improvements in the way that we do things and the way that we consume, it has become even more important, because we are consuming more than we are replacing. And that's why in, I think it's in 2015 with the Paris Agreement and everything, things came to a head. But that's even earlier than that, in 1987 is where we had the definition of sustainable development. What is sustainable development? And that definition came up to say that making sure that we are using resources in ways that meet our needs without compromising the future. So this has been something that has been growing progressively. And now we are seeing the impacts of the way we have treated our environment, the way that has impacted, or the ways that we are doing business, the way that we are engaging in activity is impacting our communities. And even the concept of governance and ethics, the way that we are going, are we being ethical? And so all these things have converged. And if you look at coming from COVID and all the things that, occurred, it's now we are coming to the realization that we need to do something about our existence. We need to do something about the way we organize ourselves and do things. So I think it's just because we see the climate impacts, rising sea levels, we see extreme weather conditions all around us. We see bushfires all over now, floods, and then also social activism and marginalization of communities that were already marginalized are becoming even more marginalized. So inequality is increasing. And that can cause a lot of conflicts if you don't address it. And so all these things are coming to a head now, and to a point where you cannot ignore the facts, because previously was show me the facts. Are we really depleting? And we're talking about ozone layer, and people were skeptical about that and all that. Carbon emissions, is that doing as much harm and damage to the environment as we were at that time, or people were pushing? But now that we are beginning to see the impacts in reality, we see that, yes, there's something to say about sustainability. And I believe that is why now more awareness, 24-hour TV, at least people are seeing the evidence for themselves, even if it's not happening within their local communities, it's happening elsewhere, and they are beginning to see it. And I think all that is contributing to the heightened interest in sustainability.
Let me take you back to our traditional society. There must have been a reason why, in spite of the need, in spite of the demand, one day was set aside when they said, don't go and fish. Allow the fishes to at least recuperate from the incessant fishing. So their responses may not have been very high-tech, but it was just a reminder that whatever we do, whether in fishing or in farming or zoning out even forest reserves, to say that, listen, as we cut, there must be some places that are preserved. So it would seem that when you look at it a bit more carefully, even as far back as our traditional society, there were deliberate or intentional actions to ensure that in our quest for economic gain, we don't do it in an irresponsible way that leaves a lasting effect on the environment and prevents us from being able to use it later. You mentioned 3 pillars: environmental, social, and economic sustainability. Which one is your personal favorite and why?
Well, I don't think that I have a personal favorite, because I think each of them has a role to play, and you can't take one without looking at the other, because there are linkages that you find. If you don't take care of your environment, for instance, if you look at agriculture, if you don't take care of your environment, then there will be no farmland for people to farm. And if there's no farmland on the social side, people are going to lose jobs. And if they lose jobs, that then will have a ripple effect on the economy and your GDP and everything. So there are linkages between the environmental side, the social side, and the economic side, and that we need to take into account. And so for me, I think that it's a question of looking at it from a very holistic point of view and addressing each of the issues within those buckets.
I'm going to come to what MTN has done, but let me take on something I read from the World Economic Forum report that said 10 jobs that did not exist a decade ago or 15 years ago. I think it was a 2020 report. And it was at that time, 10 years ago, so I'll say 14 years ago, there was nothing like a sustainability officer. It was not a big banner issue, but obviously now it's at the very forefront, at the very highest level. Your own nomenclature, or the nomenclature of the role you hold, haven't done 15 years with MTN. I've seen this role change, but your role now has sustainability embedded in it. Would you say that's a reflection of where the world is heading in terms of careers, in terms of a voice at the table, at the corporate level?
Yes.
Sustainability?
Right. And I think it's important that you have people sitting at the table who are raising the issues. What you don't track, as they say, doesn't get done. And we are at a stage where it's something that you cannot ignore. And so we need to make sure that we are raising the status of roles such as mine, so that we can engage at that level. And for us at MTN, it's sustainability is at the core of our Ambition 2025 strategy, where we are looking at a strategic priority. We have shared value meaning that when we are looking at our progress or our profitability, we are not only looking at it in terms of what comes to MTN, but we are looking at it in terms of the impact that we make on our stakeholders, our contribution to economic development as a whole. And when we're talking about shared value as well, we're saying it's ESG at the core, and ESG being environmental, social, and governance. For us to be able to ensure that we achieve this shared value, we need to look at the maybe non-financial aspects of our business. So how are we contributing to environmental sustainability? How responsible are we when it comes to the environment? How are we treating the communities within which we operate? And as a telecoms company the size of MTN, what are we doing to support our communities when it comes to economic value? What are we adding? And I think another important aspect is our governance. How are we doing our business? Are we ethical? Are we ensuring that we are compliant? And so all these things come to place. And when we look at sustainability and the important role that it plays in our business, and because as a business you need to be a responsible corporate citizen, and that's something that we pride ourselves on. And so we just want to ensure that we are focusing on the right things at the right time, and we believe that this is the right time to contribute to solutions that would help to solve some of the major global concerns that we have. And Ghana is not left out of those concerns.
I must say that because probably because we are a developing country, some of these concerns initially were not taken too seriously, because you talk about climate change and the person says, listen, I'm looking at what I will eat today. You are talking about climate. But over the years, we've come to the understanding that we can't ignore these issues because they are real, they impact on our everyday life. And what conversations like this do is help us to see how connected every little dot in the mix is. Let me stay with MTN and go to your values. I know you've done some work on your values, and I'm looking at can do with integrity. I like the word because it almost used to say, do it but add this, do this but add this. So all of them have weight in them. Can do with integrity, collaborate with agility, lead with care, act with inclusion, serve with respect. Let me just ask, for somebody reading these values, would you say that some of the considerations we are discussing featured in the remodeling of these values?
Yes, and you're talking about, as you talking about, for instance, collaborate with agility. When we are looking at collaboration, we know we cannot do things on our own. We need to partner with others. Partnership in a way that allows us to also progress our objectives. But then partnership is important. Leading with care. As a leader, a lot is expected of you, and you have to ensure that you are sending a message that even in our leadership, we are here to listen, we are here to support, we are here to do whatever it takes to bring others along. And so, we talked about our can-do spirit. We just don't go and do things and trample on rights. We need to make sure that we are taking other people's rights into account. So, serving, how do we serve? We serve with respect. And these are the things that we look at in terms of the way that we do things. And these are our aspirations, and making sure that as part of that whole image and as part of the way we do things, that we are taking these values into account. Because and this is the basis for sustainability discussions as well. Because if you're not doing these things, then how credible are you when you begin to talk about sustainability? So you are right in the sense that everything is connected. Our strategy, our values, our belief. We talk about everyone deserves the benefits of a modern, connected life. Our enablers, ESG at the core. And so we've just made sure that all these things are connected to ensure that we build a sustainable organization, that is also resilient, because sustainability also allows you to build a resilient organization that's able to withstand the headwinds that will come from time to time.
Everything is connected, and those are the thoughts of Adwoa Wiafe, MTN Ghana's Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer, helping us to break down the subject of sustainability on Springboard, your virtual university. Call a friend to call a friend to call a friend. Let's get to understand this subject better so it can inform the way we progress in our organizations. One thing I'm clear about now is that your strategies, your values, your beliefs, and your enablers must have sustainability embedded in them, or your company will not be resilient to withstand the headwinds that will come. It's almost like saying that the house that is built upon the sand had no sustainability. The pastor would always find a way to bring scripture into this one. So the house built upon the rock was sustainable, Matthew chapter 7, but the house built upon the sand was not sustainable. So if you want to build a house that will stand the test of time, Adwoa is saying embed sustainability. Adwoa, what, in your opinion, as an expert in this subject, is a sustainable business? What must a company do to be able to say, okay, we are ticking the big boxes as far as sustainability is concerned? Must they have a sustainability officer? What must they do? Help us to appreciate.
Yeah. I think sustainability is not about form. It's really about substance. So you may not even have a big title that says somebody is sustainable, responsible for sustainability. But it's a question of integrating sustainable practices within your business and how you do things. So we talked about the different aspects, the environment, the social, the governance, and economic side. What are you, and you use the word embedding, what practices are you embedding in the way you do things? For instance, if you are designing your products, how do you look at sustainability, right from the development or the design side? Because it has to start from there, and looking at it and saying, okay, how does this impact the environment? How does this ensure inclusion. So if you're doing something that is this something that persons living with disability can use, for instance? Is this something that is biodegradable? Is this something that is not going to cause too much waste? Is this something that your carbon emissions, how am I? So it is about it's a way of doing things, a way of life. That is when you would say your business is really sustainable. It's not really about calling something sustainability or doing something just to tick a box. It has to be truly sustainable. And I think it's in our interest to ensure that we integrate sustainability in the way we do things, because for our businesses to thrive into the future, you need to make sure that you're making it attractive, for instance, to investors. And some our investors are beginning to look at what you are doing along, in your value chain to protect the environment, to make sure that you are not trampling on rights, and to ensure that you are doing ethical business. So it becomes attractive to investment and to financing. So sometimes people will talk about even the cost of actually embedding these practices. But there are trade-offs. But at the end of the day, if you look at it long term, you are actually benefiting, because you're also bringing in efficiencies that cut costs for you. So if you're replacing your energy sources with more efficient energy sources, over time you begin to see the savings. You are de-risking your operations. A lot of the things that we do have reputational implications, even legal implications if you're breaching laws and all that. And these also have the potential to increase fines, penalties, boycotts and all that. And so as you make your business sustainable, you will also be protecting it from some of the risks that could get you into a situation where you are incurring even more losses than you would have if you had incorporated those sustainable practices. So I think sustainability is really integrating, embedding these practices in your business, and then ensuring that you monitor, you track, you see what impact that you are making, because there's no point doing things that have no impact whatsoever in anything. So it's also important that you monitor and track to make sure that the outcomes that you foresee or you anticipated are being achieved.
Adwoa Wiafe, what you're doing is helping us to have a different perspective on the sheer breadth of sustainability. And I can tell you that for many of our listeners and viewers, including myself, you would have thought in a certain way about the subject, but beginning to open it up, it literally is entering every office, every nook and cranny of a business's operations, and not for profit, governments and everything. And in the second part, we'll take it to what each of us must do. But let me ask you about inclusion, which is in the fourth part of your values, act with inclusion. So let me ask, for instance, ensuring gender representation, taking care of persons with disability. Would you regard those also as providing reasonable accommodation for persons with disability? Some of these considerations, would you regard them as sustainability issues?
Yes, there are sustainability issues from the social side.
Okay.
Because you would normally have people who traditionally would have suffered some marginalization. And how do you bring them into the fold, whether it's you're looking at, whatever sector? Because some of these, they are living on the peripheries of society, but doesn't mean that they are not productive, or they are, quote unquote, for want of a better word, useless. So as a business, how do you ensure that everybody is included, that whatever benefits that you are achieving covers everybody, because they are also part of the society, and we all must be interested in them also and their development, and in improving the way that they live. So for us, we look at it broadly in terms of wherever we see disadvantage, we try to support, to bring up those demographics, to make sure that they also have the benefits that we are talking about. So when you talk about gender, for instance, we know in this country where there's a disparity when it comes to even education, when it comes to economic empowerment and economic activity. And so we just want to make sure that we are including women in a lot of our programs. And even within our organization, our target is to have 50% women in the workforce by 2030. And we believe that diversity improves the quality of the decisions that we take. It improves the quality of engagement, because as you bring, say, persons with disability into the workplace and you are discussing something, they bring different perspectives.
Yeah.
They can even look at your building and they will say, look, you don't even have anything for me. How do you employ a person with disability when you don't have this, you don't have, and then that sets you thinking about, oh, we could do this. Because as a person, an able-bodied person, there are things that you would not think about. Maybe somebody from a certain community will come and say, hey, but you're doing this. Have you thought about the impact? Maybe we have certain assumptions that we make about certain communities, but then you get somebody within that community and the person tells you, you are so far off from what we think and what we see as beneficial to us. Because sometimes you go, I'm doing this for this community. Is that what they want? No. So we believe that inclusion improves our decision making. It improves the way we even implement our initiatives. And it's something that we are committed to, but yes, very broadly. And even if you look at our foundation and the work that we are doing, we are looking a lot at women, what you call differently abled or persons living with disability, and making sure whether it's in health delivery, in education, we're looking at scholarships, we are including them. When we have economic empowerment programs, we are including persons with disability, with women, and looking at marginalized communities. So that is a lot about sustainability, because if you don't bring them in, then you have a social issue on your hands.
Interesting you say that, because in 2008, we partnered with MTN Ghana for our Festival of Ideas. And when we were examining the post-event attendance records, we found out we had 72% men and 28% women. We said this cannot continue. So intentionally,
We do.
over the next 12 months, we re-examined the speakers. Is there equity in it? The models used for the conversations in the lead up, the advertising, everything was examined, and there were intentional initiatives to ensure that there was proper representation. And by the next year, we had 55-45, and it was exciting. So maybe the question I want to ask is about intentionality.
Right.
For instance, can a company do a sustainability audit after listening to you and say, you know what, let's go back to the drawing board, across board. How sustainable are we? Is there something like an audit, sustainability audit, and when the results don't go well, should there be like intentional initiatives to correct the problem areas?
Yes, and I believe if you're not intentional about certain things, you cannot get them done. And I'll give you an example of some of the things that we're doing, because we also engage in some gap analysis to determine what we are doing, looking at who we are targeting and who, to make sure that we are being inclusive. And I give you an example with mobile money. We realize that when it comes to merchants and agents, we don't have too many women in that space. And so as part of our sustainability drive, we are looking specifically at women agents and women merchants. And traditionally we found, I mean, it's difficult sometimes to get women to become agents and merchants, because their businesses tend to be small. Some of them tend to shy away from anything that they are not familiar with. But it's something that, as you talk about, it's intentional. We have to encourage them. We have to break down all the myths around their beliefs and their belief systems, and just explaining to them the benefits of doing this way or doing that way. And that takes a little bit more effort. than you would if you were just recruiting some other, if you like, even men into those roles. Because there are some roles that men naturally gravitate towards, that women have a lot more inhibition when it comes to that. Sometimes even in terms of the decision-making process, they don't have the final say when it comes to taking decisions. So it's really important that we are intentional about it. If you are going to employ persons living with disability, you have to make sure that you retool or you structure your environment in a way that is friendly to them. That may involve a certain amount of cost. And it also shows that you have to be intentional about it to say, this is what I want to do. And because I want to do this, I am not afraid to make those changes. And you go ahead and make those changes.
One thing I'm not afraid to do is to go for a break and come back and engage my guest Adwoa Wiafe even a bit more, because this has been very, very interesting and is getting better by the minute as we look at sustainability from every possible angle. This is Springboard, your virtual university, celebrating World Sustainability Day with a conversation that affects everyone, from governments to businesses to churches to families to individuals to everything in between. When we come back from the break, let's find out, what must you do as an individual, as an institution, as a nation, as a continent to be more sustainable, environmentally friendly? And what have we taken for granted so far that could end up being expensive if we don't rewire ourselves to be more sustainability oriented? And by the way, when cost is mentioned, is it only a cost, or possibly there is a benefit that far outweighs the cost of being sustainable? Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Research Foundation and proudly sponsored right here in MTN House by MTN Ghana for the past 15 years. And also by the Enterprise Group, our media partners, the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. This is also being done in partnership with the Ghana Growth Program, a collaboration between Mastercard Foundation and the Springboard Roadshow Foundation. When I come back from the break, I'll tell you why, if you are a young person, especially a young woman, hey, there could be big opportunities for you in agriculture, agribusiness, and ATV. Please don't go away.
Good business means seeing the possibilities and maximizing opportunities. Making sure you have a responsive support system backs your business goals. A partner that gives you a stable platform with reliable connectivity and seamless solutions, and better understands the tools required to take you to the next level. With so many moving parts in running a business, we do our best to provide you with some stability. The only kind of stability you can find with MTN Business Broadband, the fastest and most reliable internet provider in Ghana, making sure you stay ahead and stay connected, because we understand what makes your business tick.
Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh or call or WhatsApp 0244 308 111.
MTN.
Whether it's 1924, 2024, or 2124, we've always known that you are driven by your sense of safety and well-being. It is what drives us to see you through from start to finish, from small to big. And in the last 100 years, as you have evolved, so have we also expanded to serve you in many ways. From cradle to grave, with expertise in insurance, life, pensions, properties, health, and for those beautiful memorable goodbyes. It's 2024, and in all our markets, our pedigree is recognized, our strength respected, our expertise valued, and our solutions sought by all who desire an advantage in life. Experience the time-tested and truly trusted 100 years legacy of Ghana's oldest insurer. Take charge of your future now. Insurance, life, pensions, property management, funeral services, health insurance. Enterprise, your advantage.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, and to this incredible conversation about sustainability with Adwoa Wiafe, who's the Chief, let me mention your title, well, Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer here at MTN Ghana. And Adwoa has been walking us through the genesis of sustainability, the Exodus, the Leviticus, and the Numbers. We will soon come to the Deuteronomy of sustainability. This discussion is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana and the Enterprise Group, with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. The virtual university is also held in partnership with the Ghana Growth Program, which is a collaboration between MasterCard Foundation, Springboard Roadshow Foundation, Limehouse, and a number of other collaborators. As you probably know by now, if you are a young person considering opportunities in agriculture, agribusiness, and ATVET, the hotline you must always have. The number to call WhatsApp is 030-8255-775, just so you can get some guidance about how to navigate your way into these fields. I'm also excited about the progress we are making with this book, Changing Narratives. Adwoa, this is a compilation of 200 can-do, I like using the MTN values when we're having these conversations, 200 resilient young people who are pursuing careers in agriculture, agribusiness, and ATVET. And what is fascinating about these people is that they don't necessarily say that they have arrived,
Right.
but they've made deliberate choices and they are sharing their triumphs, their struggles, what they've overcome, and some very interesting areas of support, opportunity, and breakthrough. And when somebody says, I took this resource for granted, but all of a sudden it's become my source of livelihood. It's very, very, very fulfilling. And this was launched 2 weeks ago as part of our Agrofusion Awards. But what is even more interesting is that 75% of the over 300,000 young people who have responded to or benefited from this program are women.
Oh. Congratulations on that.
Yes.
It's really heartwarming to know that.
Yes, and then we have a number of persons with disability, and
Wow.
we also honored 10 awardees for their outstanding efforts in the field, and one of them is Edna Vosa, a young lady with cerebral palsy, who is actually doing soap out of animal fats.
Wow.
And she also gets to be with the 3 biggest awardees as they go to Kenya.
Impressive.
Kenya for an interaction with other people doing big things in these fields. Tell me, from where you sit in your work over the years in corporate comms, etc., and in leadership, what is the power of the image, something that you see, and how it inspires you to say, I can also do it?
Yes. I think there's something to be said about sight and what it does to one's ability to visualize where they're going or where they want to go to. But once you see that somebody has done it, it inspires you, it energizes you, it allows you to see that why, if this person has made it, what's different about me?
Right.
Why can't I also do it? And, even when you go back to education, and a lot of things that we studied, we're reading the books, we hadn't seen them. Until one day you see it and you say, wow.
It's possible.
Is this all that there was? I thought this was something big. And then you realize that, the person who made this, or you sit in class with somebody who's said to have done this, you see it, and is this the person who did that? Why can't it can't be done? So I think just looking and seeing that people are doing it, and people have the same abilities as you have, and sometimes even shortcomings, and even worse shortcomings than you have, and you look at it and you say, why not me? And it's just having that ripple effect, just one story resonating with so many other people, and just galvanizing action from them to be able to also say and hold their heads up high and say, I can do it if you can do it. And there's a lot of power in that. And so I think it's a good thing to showcase what others are doing. And there may be others in the closet who may be doing the same thing or thinking about doing the same thing, and it's showcasing them. It gives them that hope that they can do it. It also gets them to reach out to people who are doing it, because maybe you're sitting in your own corner thinking about something and thinking that nobody else is doing it. But the moment you see somebody else is doing it, you reach out to the person, you take from them the learnings that they have gone through, and you also apply it to yourself. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Absolutely.
If the wheel has been invented, use it.
Good.
And so those are some of the things, and those are the advantages of really showcasing other people, work that they're doing, so that people see and are able to also get up and do something themselves.
Let me borrow from MTN's work in the same area that we are doing this in, because this is all based on research that shows that we have, as a people, not given adequate attention to the opportunities in agriculture and related fields in that value chain in our quest to solve Africa's youth unemployment problem. So this whole program is aimed at helping young people find dignified and fulfilling work in agriculture, especially young women who ordinarily don't tend to venture into that area and explore how technology can make it even more exciting and so on. I know MTN is doing some incredible work in that space as well. If you can explore a bit of that as well, it would help people to know, oh, okay, it's not just one isolated case. It's being done in a number of places. So help us to appreciate what MTN is also doing in this area.
Sure. So MTN, the MTN Foundation focuses on three areas: education, health, and economic empowerment. Under our economic empowerment pillar, we seek to provide support to youth, to women, and to persons living with disability to be able to go out and work and find either the work that they do themselves or, other forms of work. And how do we empower people to be able to do things for themselves mostly? So we are looking at micro and small businesses and scaling up from then, providing the support. So we have a program that we call the SME support program. We do that. The other side is that we also beginning to look at agriculture and the opportunities that exist there for young people to also engage. And now with technology, you talked about AI and all the things, making it more exciting and changing the face of agriculture to say that it's not about old people with cutlasses and hoes and going to the farm anymore.
That's the image right there.
That's the image, and so now we want to change that narrative to show that young people can also engage in a meaningful way. And so I mean, just last week we celebrated International Day for Rural Women, and one of the things that we focused on was agriculture and how do we expose these women to modern methods of farming. So we partnered with the Lankwantanan Agri Department. We got a number of women. There is what we call a smart farm somewhere at Presec, behind Presec. And we took them there. And part of the reason why we are doing this, and this is a pilot, we are trying to see how effective this is going to be as a way of promoting agriculture and getting people to latch on. So we've partnered with some young people as well who are in that space. And we also recognize that, arable land is becoming more and more difficult to come by. So how do you increase agricultural yields without necessarily having to have big acres and acres of land, which can also be expensive for a lot of people? Yeah. How do we ensure that even in the comfort of your homes, whatever land you have, you are doing some agriculture, whipping up that interest, and particularly for rural women, a lot of them engaged in farming, a lot of them being the breadwinners for their families. How do we ensure that they're scaling up what they're doing? So we took them to this farm where, you have a modernized farm, what they call drip irrigation, how to the right mix of fertilizer, water, and pesticides, and how to get your irrigation done throughout the day, timed and all that, for them to see what is possible in agriculture, and also to let them understand that all these solutions can be tailored depending on where you are, your source, the resources that you have and all that. And they were really excited. And just to see, and it's just vegetables, peppers, cucumber, cabbage, and other things. And also just telling them about the value chain and who is even buying these things. And, hotels are buying from people who are engaged in the farming, restaurants are buying, even women at the market are buying. So just letting them see what can be done and how you can even regulate. Even if you're outside, if you're not at home, so they were asking, how do I regulate? So you have a regulator.
See them asking questions.
Asking questions. Yes. So asking, how do I regulate this and that and that? And we just told them simple ways of maintaining moisture in the soil and all that. So really just opening their eyes to where the possibilities lie and bringing in young people who are actually farming, to show them that, look, this person with this, dreadlocks is also is farming. And that is their main.
It works more than everything we see.
Yes, and
more than everything we see.
Exactly, and one of them actually came with somebody who had lost their job. They used to work in the bank during the whole restructuring process, and he's now into farming.
Yeah.
And so there are opportunities there. So we are piloting that. We want to see how that will go, and then we'll see how we roll out. So we are going to support, as part of that program, 150 women. It's going to be phased out, supporting them to go through that process. And if it's successful, we are going to roll it out.
Tell you something, next year I'll come back and ask you how it went. It's worth the try.
It is.
It is worth the try. It's a good investment.
Yes. And we know it will work because we've seen it work.
Anything that involves young people, employment, looking for opportunities in agriculture, agribusiness, ATBet, we are an automatic partner. We will just cheer you on and support you in our own way until it becomes a reality.
Yes. And
so congratulations.
Yes, and we set another farm up for, we have this program where we talk Yellow Care, which is an employee volunteer program, where we also set one of these farms up at Ebri Secondary Technical, just so that the students, as part of their curriculum, they will also see how, when you talk about digitalization, how that works. So we had this borehole, IoT, Internet of Things, or, so digital borehole, that feeding the farm. So having that circular, process, so that they see how everything is connected. So it's also part of what we're doing to bring digitalization or to demystify digitalization for our students. And you talked about the power side.
Indeed.
See is believing.
Yes. Let's go on to what other stakeholders can do. I mean, this is sustainability right there. What can stakeholders do as we mark World Sustainability Day or week or month? What can selected things that at least one or two that stakeholders can do to ensure that we are more sustainable going forward?
I think for sustainability, the reason why we celebrate these days is partly to bring awareness to the issues that we are talking about, because sometimes you can assume that people know about what you're talking about, or people even know when we started with the definition, what does it mean? So it's important for us to raise and create that awareness with people so that they understand what the concerns are, what the issues are, what the potential solutions are, what role they can play, because sustainability is for everyone. It's not for the Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer or the office. It's for everybody, because it impacts whatever the concerns that we have, impacts everyone. And it's for everyone. So for the individual, it behoves on you to also stay informed and also participate. So you have different groups that are doing things in sustainability. It's important that we all join. One person cannot do it, to make sure that we are also contributing our quota. From the corporate side, even bigger responsibility for us, because at the end of the day, we are also, unfortunately, the ones engaging in some of the practices that are leading to some of the impacts that we are seeing. It's up to us to ensure that we are managing those impacts, we are improving the way we do things, and we are collaborating with each other. So from corporate side, embracing sustainability as a way of doing business and collaborating with other corporates.
Sounds good.
To be able to raising awareness and also providing the
Collaborate with agility.
collaborate with agility.
Indeed. I like that.
So collaborating and making sure that we are providing the solutions and in some respects the leadership. Because innovation also comes from us. And the good thing about sustainability is it forces you to innovate. Because if you can't do something a certain way and you have to find another way, then you are innovating. I think for policymakers as well, it's important that policies around these are clear. Or how, if you want people to engage, then you have to set the pace and to say this is what we're going to do when it comes to environment, when it comes to emissions, when it comes to waste and all that. How are policymakers also crafting policies that will ensure that we really achieve the targets that we are seeking to achieve? So there's something in it for everybody, institutions, churches and all that. Everyone has a role to play in supporting sustainability.
At least don't throw your rubbish or refuse in the gutter, knowing that it will end up in the sea and then the fishermen will catch more rubbish than fish. That's one alone is sustainability.
Yes,
I think when you break it down like that, it makes people see that it's not a very distant, abstract subject. What I like about what organizations like you, MTN, and a number of others have done is to bring the subject or the sustainability right up to the board level, such that it will not be ignored or treated as a nice to have, but an integral part of. I like the list you called your strategy. Let me get my list again. I like writing notes when people are talking. So you're saying that everything you do all the way through the business strategy, your values, your beliefs, and your enablers must all have sustainability embedded in them. Yeah. I'm reading your profile, Adwoa, and I'm telling you, I'm saying, okay, so before I become a sustainability manager, chief sustainability officer in any company, I must be a lawyer. I must have worked at the International Criminal Court in The Hague or done something equally big. Or is that not the case?
Yeah, and what is
just help me to know. A young person looking at you and saying, I like it. I want to also become a sustainability manager one day. Since it's not like something that's a straightforward career path, are there pathways that they can explore? Are there courses that when you take increases the likelihood of you being a possible candidate for the role of a sustainability manager in your organization? Help the young people who are asking to know.
Okay. I think it starts with interest. You have to be interested in the area. You have to learn about it and then know what is happening in that space. Now, with sustainability, you see that it's a developing area. We are looking now even at frameworks for reporting environmental, social, and governance. So it's increasingly becoming more and more sophisticated. So obviously, if you want to go into that space, it's something that you need to look at in terms of, the basic level of education that you should have. I think you can do anything. Sustainability is something that you can learn as you go along. But now, because of the formalization that's coming in, you have to have an interest such that you are learning about developments within that area and positioning yourself in a way that will allow you, if you went for an interview, to be able to make it. So nothing special in terms of having any particular degree, whether it's science or not, but just making sure you're educating yourself and looking at where sustainability is moving and then also tapping into that and learning about the respective areas.
Take a minute to speak to those who protest that it is a cost. I mean, let me just digress a little. Somebody I would love for you to meet, I mentioned it to you during the break, Mildred Akotia. She says, it took me a while as a food safety specialist with degrees in food science. I said to myself, throughout my value chain, the quality must never be compromised from the buyers, the farm gate, all the way through the processing. And she says, it cost me. Yeah. But now I look at it and I say, you know what? My products are in places that you would have dreamt about. Help us to explain. Is sustainability a cost, or there's some benefit that will, like Mildred, make you feel, you know what? Whatever cost, it is worth it. Speak to that one in a minute.
Yes. So sustainability and profitability go hand in hand.
Really?
A sustainable business is more highly likely to be a profitable business. And I say that because when you incorporate sustainability aspects into your business, it means that you are making, and you talk to Mildred and she showed you, initially the upfront cost may be high, but over time you see that leveling and then you begin to reap the benefits of it. So whether it's when you talk about food safety, making sure people, when customers come to trust your product, that is how you make money. You are
sustainability right there.
Sustainability right there. You are
Wow.
increasing, you're expanding your network, you're expanding your customer base, because word of mouth, they are the ones who are going to do the marketing for you. It also means that you are minimizing the risk that some regulator will find something wrong with your food and ask you to, take it off the shelves and all that. So you are de-risking. And now you see that, and I talked about earlier on, people want to even invest in your business. If you are going for financing, it's easier because that's what financiers are looking at. That's what investors are looking at. That is what customers want, a certain quality. And so you see that it is not an either or proposition. It is together. So you have to look at sustainability and profitability as going hand in hand. Otherwise, then you may just tilt it. If you're looking at it just as, oh, how much of it should I put in? You may just tilt it the wrong way and, suffer as a business.
Right. It behoves on me, after such a brilliant conversation, to present you with a complimentary copy of
Thank you so much.
Changing Narratives.
Thank
the
you.
title alone has sustainability embedded in it.
It is.
We must change the narrative about
We
sustainability.
do have to do.
Actually, I feel, you know what, before we sign off, I always believe that, and that's why we kept going back to the picture, the image, just seeing somebody. I have a feeling that some young woman in Wale Wale, a young woman in your hometown, a young woman in a part of the world that has never been to MTN house before is watching you and saying, oh, it's nice. Oh, you know what? Look into this camera and talk to that young woman and tell her how a couple of choices she can make that would also make her one day be on Springboard, your virtual university, inspiring generations and sharing your story. Adwoa, over to you.
Well, I think we talked about can do. And nothing is beyond anybody. You just need to apply yourself. You just need to have a focus. You need to work hard. It's not, it won't happen by chance. But you know that if someone has done it, you can also do it, regardless of the circumstances that you find yourself. And I think if you improve yourself, then opportunity comes. You are able to take advantage of the opportunities coming your way. But if you don't, then that is where you miss those opportunities. And every opportunity counts. So you just have to make sure that you are preparing yourself. The moment the opportunity comes, you jump on it. And I'm sure you will do well. It's not rocket science. It can be done. We all started from somewhere and we are where we are. You too can make it. And I hope that you will take the time to improve yourself, to learn hard, to, be curious about things around you. And I have no doubts that young people in this country have the potential to rise to the occasion and to be the best that they can ever be.
Let me clap for you. I love this. I love this. So improvement, opportunity, and advantage. Thank you very much, Adwoa Wiafe, for joining us in this conversation. And over the past 1 hour, you have converted me. I'm a self-acclaimed sustainability officer in my organization.
And advocates. And that's what
yes.
we are hoping
and that's the best we can do, raise awareness. And so, do they say Happy World Sustainability Day, month, or whatever?
And yes.
Yes. So thank you for coming.
Welcome.
And thanks to
Thanks
MTN
for having me as well.
It's been great. Let's do this again.
We should.
Yes, let's do this again. There are aspects of values, aspects of community engagement that I would like us to explore in our next conversation.
No problem at all. We are always available.
Yes. And thanks to MTN for partnering with us for so long. It's a record, actually, and we are grateful.
And we are happy to be your partners, collaborating with agility. That's what we are doing.
And leading with care.
And leading with care. Yes.
All right, this has been another enthralling edition of Springboard, your virtual university. If there's one thing I'm carrying away, it is that sustainability and profitability go hand in hand. And so don't see it as a cost that you have to bear like a cross. See it as an investment you can make in your organization that will ensure that you are there for the long haul. My name is Albert Okran, saying a big thank you on behalf of the Springboard Roadshow Foundation, our partners MTN Ghana and the Enterprise Group, as well as the Ghana Growth Program itself, a collaboration between MasterCard Foundation and the Springboard Roadshow Foundation. Our media partners, the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. On that very sustainable note, I want to say God bless you, and God bless you.
Turning point, yeah. He's